another Stanley Cup final update for SB Nation's YouTube channel. Right now we're discussing the sort of unsung or lesser known players in these finals, which consists of two rather under the radar teams in the Los Angeles Kings and the New Jersey Devils. This time we're talking about Steve Bernier, who's been part of a fourth line for the Devils that has done rather well in these playoffs, somewhat surprisingly so. Now, Bernier is one of those guys who was drafted as a scorer way back in that legendary 2003 NHL draft that produced so many good players. San Jose took him 16th overall, and certainly the expectation after he put up close to 50 goals one year for Moncton in the Quebec League was that he would be a scorer, a top six type. He was brought up to the NHL somewhat quickly by age 20, 21, and he never quite caught on as a regular go-to scorer. So, of course, as you know, in the NHL, when you're drafted as a scorer, you don't become a scorer right away. Teams start to sell on you or try to force you to adapt to the fourth line role that Bernier now has. But, of course, Bernier wasn't even with the Devils NHL club this year until midway through the season when they finally called him up. He ended up pushing guys like Cam Janssen out of the lineup. Janssen, of course, was traded by the Devils a few years ago for Bryce Salvador, who's one of our other unsung guys on the Devils. But anyway, Bernier's jumped around. He was dealt by the Sharks in the Brian Campbell trade, so he went to Buffalo that way. Then the Sabres ended up dealing him for some scraps to Vancouver. Vancouver, of course, ended up dealing him with a first-round pick and with Michael Grabner, who ended up being a 30-goal scorer for the Islanders, in the Keith Ballard trade. But in Florida, where he was given some more minutes at the start to be a scorer again, he had a disappointing season. Only put up 5 goals at last check. And so it really wasn't happening for Bernier. In fact, it's pretty surprising that Bernier is in the Stanley Cup Finals right now because he began this season mostly in the AHL. But like I said, he's formed a decent fourth line recently in these playoffs with Steven Gianta and Carter. And so that's how this journeyman, who was once billed as a scorer, has ended up being an unsung hero on a fourth line for a surprise Stanley Cup finalist. Thanks for watching. We'll look for more lesser known and unsung players on these finalists as the series continues. I'm Dominic Yansky with LighthouseHockey.com, and this has been an update for SB Nation's YouTube channel.